So Jess, how long should I stay on the carnivore diet? This is probably the number one question that I get on the calls that I do. I do 15-minute free discovery calls with individuals who are dipping their toe in the water of the carnivore journey. I also do one-time consults, which are way more involved, and you get a full nutritional plan after the call. And the number one thing people ask is like, all right, so what am I in for? How long should I be on this thing? And that is always going to depend. So it's going to depend on your current goals, the goals for going on carnivore, how well you are thriving on carnivore once you start, and then also what your health is before you started. So like a short-term stay on the carnivore diet would be like a 1 to 3 month period. This would be most suitable for people who are looking to clear up some bloating or digestive issues, looking to clear up like some energy issues that you have. Maybe you're crashing a ton. And then maybe you're just looking to clean up your diet a little bit for a short time period. I'm not talking about crash dieting for a vacation. I'd really love for everyone that goes on carnivore to think of this as not a crash diet, but as some sort of health cleanup. So it might be for somebody that just wants to clean up how much processed foods and sugars that they're eating, and 1 to 3 months might be a great short time period for them. The reason why I'm calling it not a crash diet is because the transition off of carnivore for these types of people, I would love it to not be going back to the way that things were before carnivore. I'd love for you to transition off of carnivore by introducing like lower sugar fruits, lower carb fruits and vegetables, and maybe even some dairy if you weren't already having it on your carnivore plan. Again, I recommend that everyone starts with a strict carnivore elimination, not dirty carnivore, not keto. You could, if you start with animal-based or keto, enter into carnivore, but anytime you start carnivore, my belief is that you go on strict carnivore. You don't do a dirty or a keto carnivore. So like a medium phase person might be on this diet for this way of eating, I like to say, for like 3 to 6 months. This might be somebody that's dealing with like inflammation, insulin resistance, some moderate autoimmune issues. Obviously, we are all focused on hopefully not just using carnivore for a diet and for weight loss, but also for all of the healing benefits. And so for these people, 3 to 6 months might be a good time period to help start clearing some of these things up. And for these people, I want you to focus on the metabolic flexibility part of it. So when you're transitioning off, maybe introducing a little avocado first, a little bit of, sweet potato, or just introducing carbs intermittently and testing to see how that feels for you, especially if you're here for autoimmune issues, because you just want to make sure that as you're reintroducing that you know how certain reintroduction foods are making you feel. And then the longer term folks are 6+ months. I've been on it for 3 years. It all depends on why you're on this way of eating. But these 6 to 12 monthers or even more, for people like dealing with more chronic autoimmune issues, chronic inflammation, metabolic damage. This is for people that thrive on carnivore and just don't see a reason to reintroduce other foods. This is me. I am on this way of eating because of food addiction, and for me, it is the most food freedom I've ever felt in my life by taking all of that other stuff out. And so for me, I can't imagine being on any other way of eating, and I don't see it changing. But if you're on it for more of like the chronic inflammation or more of a more autoimmune issues than mild, what you'll do to transition yourself off of it, start to reintroduce things that are like low inflammatory foods like avocado or berries or even cooked vegetables. And you'll do it again, one at a time in small doses, making sure that you're monitoring how those introductions are making you feel. So here's what to ask yourself if you're ready to go off of carnivore. Have my health issues been met? Or do I still have some work to do? Have I improved my energy? Have I improved my digestion? Have I cleared up all the symptoms that I was having? Obviously, you want to ask yourself things like, do I feel mentally and physically ready to reintroduce the other foods? And then, of course, on the food addiction or binge eating or any sort of eating disorder side of things, do I feel like the old me, the old eating habits are creeping back in? Do I feel in control? And can I do this step by step, and do I feel ready to do this? So stay on carnivore for as long as it works for you, as long as it supports your health goals, as long as it feels good for you. If you're starting to need some variety, if you're starting to crave some other types of foods, go ahead and just have that conversation with yourself. Make sure that you have actually cleared up the symptoms that you were looking to solve on this carnivore lifestyle, and then slowly reintroduce. This is not something that I recommend ever going like carnivore during the week and then off on the weekends. You're missing the entire point of this way of eating. This is not meant to be a crash diet. This is actually like total body healing. And as always, you just want to listen to your own body. And when I get comments that say, this is what worked for me, this is the way I did it, I'm always a huge cheerleader of that, because you know your body best. Sometimes that's what I'm here for, is to explain the science behind it, explain the biology behind it, explain the mindset behind it, so that you can connect the dots on things. But you know you best, and you know when you're ready. And what tends to happen is some people are just not ready to transition off of carnivore, and they end up going back and doing a strict carnivore bout again. So you'll hear of people all over this app saying, well, I went off of carnivore and I tried this for a couple months, and then I started to kind of feel worse, or old habits started creeping back in, and then I'm going back to strict carnivore. I see it all the time. It's usually in the realm of people go strict carnivore or lion diet, and then they start reintroducing dairy. They realize that dairy brings back their cravings, starts to creep up their weight on the scale, and then they go back and they do a strict carnivore. And that's okay too. No judgment. Everyone's journey is different. It is also my opinion that people that are doing this and they are going off strict carnivore and then back to strict carnivore after not being able to hack it or handle it, going off of it, probably have food addiction issues that they are not resolving. This is why I have a course that's coming out around the new year that is going to help people who are on the carnivore diet to do the food addiction piece too, because carnivore does not heal it in and of itself. There's other work to be done. So as a 3-year carnivore, this is kind of what it looks like for me. I just tend to like a more of a fancy carnivore. I really do strict 99% of the time, and every once in a while, I'll have some cheeses, I'll have some hard salamis or processed foods, processed meats. I'll have some alcohol from time to time. But for me, I'm choosing the cheats on carnivore that make it a little bit fancy, make it a little bit more of a, you could call it a keto carnivore, that don't pull me off track. There are certain foods that are drug foods for me and always will be. And there are even some carnivore approved things that are drug foods for me and always will be. And I've just had to discover that through the process. So long story long, it's all individual, but this is what I coach my clients through. And if you want a coaching call, go ahead and sign up. The link is up in my bio. Whether you're a new carnivore or you're transitioning off, or you're just looking to pull some toggle switches and try and kind of tweak things to get better results.